In January 2015, G-Boy released a hacked new Extreme Demon level named Cataclysm. In the era since, two names have dominated the community. Few people from 1.9 would have expected that a level that sparked a new generation of Geometry Dash to be on the verge of falling out of the top 50 altogether, and nobody would have foreseen the rise and rise of Riot and Cyclic, except perhaps the players themselves. In December 2014, RobTop updated Geometry Dash to version 1.9, arguably commencing the final stage of the golden era of the game. He also released a Geometry Dash client for Steam, meaning mobile players could now use PC equipment, and BlueStacks players had a better game experience overall. Cyclic, a Korean player, had been playing the game for a while now. He had been a leaderboard topping player and had always been in and around the top 3 with Sari and Luna Smin. With 1.9 released on Steam, he would start to grow a healthy new GD YouTube channel. Somebody else who benefited from the Steam client was a player named Riot, a mobile player up until this point, but somebody who had beaten the hardest demon beaten on a mobile to date at the time, Doomsday 2 by Neptune. He soon made the change to PC when he beat Valley of Dreams by Nubas for his first demon completed live on a PC. Riot's channel would not be as noticed for all of its achievements, but soon both of these players would go on to become living legends of the game. Cyclic was one of the first players to bridge the gap between the English and Korean speaking communities, being a Korean player who joined the English community when he debunked one of the hardest levels ever, Silent Club, for having a secret way. Cyclic's leaderboard position would help him gain more notoriety and popularity. As for Riot, he would soon begin to create his own dynasty. An interesting fact here is that Cyclic's former icon colours, pink and blue, before the 1.9 era began, inspired Riot's own icon colours that would become a world famous colour combination in the community following what was to come. At the end of 2014, Riot got his first big break. On the 28th of December, he became only the second player to beat Deadly Clubstep by Neptune. A god and unassailable idol of the community, Neptune had changed the game with both creating and playing. Though Wreckage had beaten the level before, Riot's replay gained over 500,000 views through its lifespan. Deadly Clubstep was one of the hardest demons ever created, ousting the former legitimate demons such as To the Stars by Aeon Air, who, ironically, Riot won a race to complete one of Neptune's grand masterpieces with. This gained Riot his first taste of popularity and recognition as a great player, but in the grand scheme of things, it would eventually go on to only be one of his minor achievements. As for Cyclic, something far bigger lay ahead in the months following. In the January of 2015, one of GD's most popular creators, G-Boy, released his new demon level, Cataclysm. Cataclysm was unlike anything ever seen before. It was a contemporary new extreme demon that used the newly implemented wave mode and all other game modes like never before. It was also a defining level in a series of red extreme demons that would go on to be a cornerstone in the community. While G-Boy was well respected and a good player, many had a hard time believing his legitimacy over his new level, despite showing a screenshot of his level that boasted over 80,000 attempts in practice and patience. Many could still not believe that such a level had been verified. In the 2 months that followed, the only replays that emerged of Cataclysm were hacked replays, and while Cataclysm spent a surprising amount of time being underrated next to things like Ice Carbon, Diablo X and Alphabet X, many were beginning to accept Cataclysm as the godlike demon of 1.9. In March 2015, Cyclic made his first major step towards immortalisation in the community when he uploaded a video of himself reaching 86% on Cataclysm. Unlike the videos that came before, there were no orb pulsing issues, no out of sync song, and nothing that could suggest Cyclic was anything but legitimate. And, as many people had hoped, shortly after, Cyclic became the first player to ever legitimately complete Cataclysm. He'd spent over 25,000 attempts on the level, and finally Cyclic had proved that this legendary demon of 1.9 was not impossible. This was also the first replay of Cataclysm that RobTop supported as legitimate, as Cyclic's name blew up around the community. Only Samstorm and Gyron David had any measurable progress. Riot still had not made much in the way of progress, though his involvement would soon begin. Following Deadly Clubstep and the 5-month period in which Cyclic began to make his name, Riot had been progressing as a Steam player, pouring thousands of attempts into extreme demon levels across the game, but not really revealing anything much in the way of progress. During this period, Cyclic continued beating levels and building his profile. May 2015 would be a crucial month in GD history, as both Riot Cyclic and the new rising star of GD, Andromeda, would lay the foundations for the remainder of 1.9. On May the 9th, Andromeda released the Ultimate Phase, a new Extreme Demon Mega Collab that would become a child of the new generation of Mega Collabs. Only 5 days after its release, Cyclic, who built a part in the level, became the first person to complete it. This came on the same day that Cataclysm recorded only its second victor, Garon David. Cyclic was entering his prime, but the week after, the spotlight turned to Riot. On May the 20th, Riot joined Sandstorm as one of 2 people to beat Cataclysm on that day. Riot invested 33,000 attempts in the level, and his video blew up in popularity once again. Cyclic may have beaten this earlier, but Riot's guaranteed legitimate video, which was recorded with a face camera and completed live, was one of the most astounding victories in GD history. Cyclic had beaten the Ultimate Phase a few days before, but Riot had just beaten the harder demon. This would also earn Riot the right to organise and verify the next huge demon level, but previews for this wouldn't surface until June. Both players had now beaten the undisputed King of Demons, but there was still one glaring omission from the growing list of achievements they shared. Ice Carbon Diablo X was a hacked extreme demon by an old mysterious Korean creator named Roadbows. It came out in 1.6, and even by 1.9 only had around 50,000 downloads and a negative dislike ratio. Despite these factors, the level was not only rated, but it was featured as well. Not that many people were aware of its existence, and it was only ever relevant in small parts, such as when Nuvas uploaded a controversial progress video of the level. Despite all of this, Ice Carbon Diablo X still held a feared position as the #1 demon, ahead of Cataclysm, for a very long time. It topped iFreshTheNotch's Demons list around the time of the Cataclysm victories and was generally a huge challenge for new players. After Cataclysm, and with the former #2 demon Alphabet X being devalued after Zobros failed to call it an extreme demon upon becoming the first to complete it, Ice Carbon Diablo X was the remaining prize that no player had yet managed to accomplish. Straight after Cataclysm, Riot was keen to do something to prove he was the best, and so he asked Michigan what he should do next, and Michigan said Ice Carbon Diablo X. Somebody else who also turned their attention to this level was Andromeda. Fresh off the back of verifying the Ultimate Phase and with his career starting to take off, he also had the community's accepted hardest demon in his sights. Cyclic did not show much interest, but as he was constantly vying to be world #1, he had to keep up with the contemporary challenges and facts, and so it was that all 3 players ended up in a sort of race to beat this level. On May the 23rd, Riot uploaded a completion video of the level Ice Carbon Diablo X beaten live. Not only this, but Riot revolutionised GD in this video when he first introduced straight flying to the community, benefiting from his adept monitor and gaming equipment that allowed him to hone his techniques. Riot had won the race, and though Cyclic was first to beat Cataclysm, Riot had struck back, beating the official hardest rated demon of the time. A day later, Andromeda uploaded his own completion video. While many were suspicious of Andromeda, he had seemingly used GD's hardest demon to prove his critics wrong and himself legit when he recorded himself playing next to a clock on his PC. For this reason, and due to the momentum being with Andromeda after his verification of the Ultimate Phase, Andromeda's video gained more attention. Cyclic beat the level soon after, but came in at a lagging 3rd, and thus why, now, Ice Carbon Diablo X is considered one of Cyclic's lesser achievements. Despite becoming one of the first to beat Cataclysm, the momentum shifted to Riot, as both laid the foundations for their destiny following the future of this massive achievement. Moving into June 2015, both Riot and Cyclic continued grinding demons and building their profiles. Riot completed Necropolis, another extreme demon of the time, and Cyclic continued picking up odd levels here and there, but the two were fairly neck and neck in their rivalry. Riot had the advantage over Cyclic in terms of momentum, but the two still had a future and no end to 1.9 yet in sight. Both Riot and Cyclic's next move would come from a creating perspective. On June the 1st, Riot uploaded a preview for an upcoming mega collab named Bloodbath. It was only 12 seconds, but showcased some of the amazing flying skill Riot had acquired. The theme was also At the Speed of Light, the exact same song as used in Cataclysm, Riot's greatest achievement. It was clear something iconic was brewing, and something extreme with Riot as the spearhead was inbound. Cyclic had been busy with a level project too, having beaten both Cataclysm and Ice Carbon Diablo X himself, He was keen to create something to rival Riot and his new venture that was gaining traction. Somebody else Cyclic still had to compete with was Andromeda. While Andromeda was still under suspicion, until he could be proven guilty, he was still competition for Cyclic. Cyclic's next move would have to address the growing pressure from both of them. Andromeda had, a month prior, released his solo demon level Poltergeist, the hardest rated 9 Circles level at the time, designed to compete with Fairy Dust and Demon's Eye Classic. While Cyclic wanted to use his skill and caliber to create a level to rival Bloodbath, rivaling Andromeda's own achievements would be beneficial too, and so in early June, Cyclic previewed a new level on his channel which he captioned Harder Than Poltergeist. It was a 9 Circles level and was designed to be the hardest 9 Circles level ever, and was also harder than Cataclysm and Ice Carbon Diablo X, so to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. While Riot was busy collaborating and practicing with Bloodbath, and Andromeda had just added his name to the list of Necropolis and Cataclysm victors, it was Cyclic who would make the first blow in this late 1.9 level Dynasty race. In mid-June, Cyclic released his first version of his revolutionary level, Sonic Wave, a light blue Circles level, and definitely the hardest level to have ever been released. It was openly cut, with Cyclic claiming he beat the old level without recording, and so this damaged his chances of it being rated. But Cyclic had released a brand new Extreme Demon. All eyes were now on him again. Riot continued slaying demons and beating the key levels of 1.9, Supersonic, 9 Circles, Windy Landscape, etc. But on the 25th of June, he reached 49% on Bloodbath, and we got a decent look at the level finally. Andromeda began to become a third party again at this point, falling back as these two legends of GD continued their unspoken rivalry. Riot continued Bloodbath progress, while Cyclic, who had changed his name to Enlil, continued beating other demons. Ultrasonic, the Mega Collab sequel to the world-renowned Supersonic, fell to him only 3 hours after its release. While Cyclic was rampaging through demons, on July the 13th, Riot reached 58% on Bloodbath. We were finally getting a glimpse of the unimaginable difficulty inbound and just how well developed this level was. Cyclic's Sonic Wave paled in comparison to this new beast, and so it was time for him to do something more. On July the 19th, 6 days after Riot's latest Bloodbath progress video, Cyclic made one of the most infamous moves he had ever made, which many believe downed his career. That day, he uploaded a new version of Sonic Wave, deleting the old one after it grossed over 20,000 downloads but remained unrated. He had changed the colour scheme to be much darker and had buffed the level to far beyond the difficulty it was before. This time around, Cyclic also had a completion video, and so the level was rated for a short time. Very few people progressed in this, and questions immediately started to spring up about how on earth Cyclic could have verified such a legendary level. As for Riot, he stayed relatively dormant as he practiced Bloodbath. It was symbolic, Riot's red Extreme Demon to Cyclic's blue one, reminiscent of the colours they played with. Ironically, these two best players and two best levels shaped the community for years to come. On August the 11th, Riot verified Bloodbath after over 25,000 attempts, and it was featured almost immediately and flew straight to number 1 on Frestanotch's Demons list, surpassing Cataclysm, Ice Carbon Diablo X, and even the pre-nerfed copy of Future Demoness. Riot blew up after this, going from around 5,000 subs to racing past 20 and 30,000. Both players had done all they could to be recognised as the best, and as Bloodbath laid the foundations for Update 2.0 to be released, both would seemingly have a fresh slate for their rivalry moving into 2.0. However, there was trouble brewing for Cyclic. Many people did not like Sonic Wave, and a large number of people didn't believe that it was legitimate. Also, Riot's newfound fanbase was beginning to demoralise the Korean player. Just before the end of 1.9, Sonic Wave was sacked and replaced with a copy of Back on Track, which was buffed and now has come to be known as Cyclic on Track. Many believe Cyclic had been hacked by a hacker, as shortly after this his stats disappeared from his account. People were confused and needed clarity, and they soon received it. In 2.0, the ability to post status messages on your account was implemented. Cyclic posted this message, confirming to everyone that he was in fact quitting. All of a sudden, after the two were at the peak of their rivalry with these two brand new levels to shape their future, Cyclic had removed his stats and a few of his levels, and he disappeared without a trace from the community. At the same point, Andromeda made his infamous confession video, where he confessed to hacking nearly all of his major achievements. Riot was left unchallenged. Fresh off the back of his Bloodbath victory, he was king of the community and the only one. While the memory of Cyclic stayed with his fans, Riot was free to capitalise on an otherwise untapped market for the ultimate extreme demon slayer. Nobody around him even came close. He finished the 9 Circles series, making him the first to do so, and into 2.0 he beat a number of demons including Ruined Journey, a new top 10 demon. He also practiced Sonic Wave, so to attempt to keep some part of Cyclic's legacy alive. With this being said, we didn't have to wait long for Cyclic to resurface. Towards the end of 2015, Cyclic resurfaced on a channel and began beating new levels under a completely new brand, with a new set of icons. He also began re-uploading his old gameplays. Many fake Cyclic accounts had come and gone, but this one got backing from famous YouTubers and was also linked on Cyclical's account, the official GD account of Cyclic. There had been a weird period with no real apparent explanation for Cyclic's absence, but many fans were just excited to have had him back. He would have to start growing all over again, but his apparent skill had not lapsed. Both Riot and Cyclic would be free to continue building their empires as Cyclic rekindled with GW and the elites of the Korean community. For the first time in over 6 months, Cyclic had all the momentum again. The two would go on to return to humble beginnings when in late 2015 Riot verified a 2.0 update to Cataclysm, making it harder and reaffirming its status as the number 2 demon for a while. While the update was considered extremely difficult, and while Sandstorm was the first to beat it, Cyclic soon followed, becoming the third of the early Cataclysm victors to revisit his achievement. In 4,100 attempts, he completed the update, and while Riot, who had just exceeded 50,000 subscribers, went on to accumulate hundreds of thousands of views, Cyclic raced back up to 9,000 subscribers. He was re-established and ready for a new challenge. On January the 18th, 2016, Cyclic verified a level known as A Bizarre Phantasm by the Korean creating team known as Team N2. This was their second map, following their world-famous rebirth of the Hell Factory that was verified by Powerbomb a few weeks earlier. A Bizarre Phantasm was a level with no hype surrounding it, but it was still an intricate extreme demon with a unique theme and song. There was a lot of symbolism here. A Bizarre Phantasm was the hardest thing ever to have been verified besides Bloodbath at the time, and while Bloodbath was a red extreme demon built by a team of mostly English-speaking players, Cyclic had spearheaded a blue extreme demon built by Korean players. It was almost as if both Western and Eastern communities had their own trump cards, both spearheaded by their hemisphere's best player. A Bizarre Phantasm was not rated for another 2 months, and even when it was not viewed as harder than its brother level, the Hell Factory, but it still became a famous and contested level, with many trying to become the first legitimate player to beat it. There was talk of Cyclic being selected to verify Team N2's third map, nicknamed Calculator Core, which was in the works at the time, but until then, Cyclic moved on to another, harder project. Riot had been playing random demons and ticking off some top 50 achievements, but was working on frying a bigger fish. Having gone from 64 to 100 on Sonic Wave and then from 28 to 82, he looked sure to be able to beat this legendary demon that had been lost but still gone unbeaten even longer than Bloodbath. Cyclic showed no signs of wanting to return to Sonic Wave and also denied that he would be working on the Hell Factory, claiming it would be too hard for him. Instead, he started his own restoration project, a rebirth of a lost level hardly anyone knew about. In very early March 2016, Cyclic previewed the Hell Zone on his channel. This was a 2.0 redesign by 4 people of a 1.2 extreme demon called the Hell Zone by Son0924, a member of GW that disappeared before 1.5. On March the 4th, Cyclic came out with a completion video for the level and supposedly verified it after 18,000 attempts. It was an extreme timing demon and was even harder than A Bizarre Phantasm and the Hell Factory, and it looked set to go straight to second behind Bloodbath on the demons list. But then Cyclic did something the next day that changed everything. The day after the Hell Zone was verified, Cyclic uploaded a confession to his channel. The Hell Zone's gameplay was cut after the level used a verify hack. Cyclic claimed this was due to time constraints he had and that he was losing his computer. He also then, to everybody's dismay, confessed to hacking Sonic Wave, saying that the light blue version of the level was verify hacked and the dark blue was speed hacked. This changed everything, and Cyclic apologised and cut himself off from the community briefly. Riot was just as shocked about these revelations as anybody, and so was keen to talk to his great rival, but nobody could have anticipated what happened next. Riot went on Skype to talk to Cyclic about it and soon after, and asked him if only the Hell Zone and Sonic Wave were the only hacked levels, specifically wondering if New Cataclysm and A Bizarre Phantasm were hacked as well. Without responding to anything else, Cyclic told Riot that every single demon he had ever completed on YouTube was either hacked or cut, and that he was quitting and was going to delete everything. Riot told Cyclic that he didn't believe him, but it was too late. Cyclic deleted his account, made all of his star levels free, and deleted everything. He changed his account name to a string of random characters and deleted his channel. Nobody could believe it. Cyclic's entire dynasty had been a lie. Everything from his historic Cataclysm victory to Ice Carver Diablo X to his return with A Bizarre Phantasm, and everything he had worked for since 1.5, undone and debunked. Many turned on Riot, blaming him for Cyclic's confession, but nothing seemed like it was bring Cyclic back. Rumours and theories spread like wildfire, but it seemed as if the Cyclic dynasty had ended for good this time. Riot, for the second time, was left unchallenged by his great rival. He continued playing and even went further to restore some of Cyclic's legacy himself by collaborating with Viprint to create a rebirth of Sonic Wave, a level now known to have been unbeaten by anybody. He continued to play top 50 demons, and he even had his own answer to the Hell Zone. Just like Cyclic did, Riot created his own rebirth of a once impossible level by a Korean creator with 3 other players, by rebirthing the infamous impossible level Red World by Sari and Neptune. He verified this on stream, and it was instantly placed at 5th on the demons list, 1 place below A Bizarre Phantasm. But unfortunately, just like Cyclic's rebirth of a Korean impossible level that had been his downfall, Riot's would cause his downfall too. After Red World Rebirth, nobody heard anything of Riot or his playing career for months. Everything expected of him, from quantum processing to Sonic Wave Infinity to Yatagarasu, was all left hanging. At the end of June, Riot passed Yatagarasu, the next big upcoming #1 demon, to Serve, a budding new player who was quickly becoming a fan favourite in GD. Despite small periods of inactivity and attempted returns, Red World Rebirth was the last seriously measurable achievement we saw from Riot in 2016. He attempted to pick up Team N2's third mega collab that Cyclic had originally planned to verify, but this never materialised and the level was given to Nobleboy. Yatagarasu soon went on to have a third verifier, and GD evolved around Riot, with Riot staying in his position. He was no longer beating top 50 demons, and was tiring of the game. He attempted to verify Sonic Wave in November 2016, but was beaten to the post by Sonix, a new up-and-coming player who had been storming GD. Eventually, Riot announced on Twitter that he would be retiring from Geometry Dash after an attempted return. He also suffered from finger pains, where his former glory had come at a physical price. For Riot, just like his old competitor, everything was coming to an end. But this wasn't the last we would see of Cyclic. In July 2015, the official Cyclic account linked to a new YouTube channel where Cyclic was streaming random demons. Many had hoped he would dispel his old hacking rumours, but he confirmed that he had hacked the levels he was so famous for. That being said, he returned and was attempting to turn over a new leaf. He beat Colourful Overnight, a hard dual level for his new hardest demon, and he soon acquired a 144Hz monitor and mouse. Soon after this, he got 3/4 of the way through Bloodbath, a level people had wanted to see him properly attempt for nearly 2 years now. And finally, with Riot stepping down, they saw an opportunity to reconnect one last time, as friends rather than rivals. After Riot's retirement in January, he passed the original version of Sonic Wave Infinity to Cyclic to practice. Cyclic made several good runs, but never completed it due to finger pains, just like his great rival. Both stepped down for both health and entertainment reasons at the same time. GD carried on evolving around them, but their legacies both stayed the same, with Cyclic still being appreciated for his contribution to the community as a social leader. Both have recently had career resurgences, but it is fair to say that the glory days of both these players are now behind them. However, the legacy they created and the way they moved GD forward will never be forgotten. Riot and Cyclic, 2 simple teenagers on opposite sides of the planet who grew, evolved, and defined a gaming community of over 1 million people, taking GD from a small mobile app to a spectacle in gaming achievement, with their respected legacies. These 2 players are surely not only 2 of the biggest GD icons in history, but their rivalry is probably one of the greatest modern day gaming rivalries we know in indie games. And who knows, both of their dynasties may yet be extended.